Welcome back, Cardinal fans. I'm Mitchell Swanson. I'm here with Coach Rivers in the Rusty Coles Fieldhouse the Wednesday before the Jackson game. Coach, thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
Coach, again, congrats on a 12-1 season. With the semifinals yet to be played, let's take a second look at where we are. Not many high school players can say they played and won 12 games. Not that many coaches either. It's Thanksgiving week and we are still playing. Can we just reflect on how special that is?
Yeah, no, it's awesome. It's awesome. Looking at some of the things on AL.com this week, and they're talking about let's look at the 12 high school football games in the state. There's only 12 being played, all classifications. So, and we're one of two, and obviously in 4A, and only 4 teams left. So, no, it's been an awesome season thus far. You mentioned 12-win season. It is rare. It is very rare. And I think Coach Dupre even mentioned this is his 36th year. I think he's never gotten to 12. He said he's had a lot of he's had runs beyond ours, but never gotten to 12 wins. I think the year he said he made the state championship game, they were like 8-6 or something like that. So it's a heck of an accomplishment, a lot to be proud of, a lot for the guys to be proud of, and then you also don't want it to end though. When you get this close, you're 4 quarters away from playing a state championship game. And
yes, sir.
So we've had a great week of practice. Guys have been great this week, getting to practice in the mornings because of no school, and the weather's been awesome, and it's been a lot of fun.
Absolutely. After 13 games, it's pretty easy to see how special our offense is this season. 5,781 yards from scrimmage. That's 444 yards a game. 510 points. That's 39 plus points a game. 3,600 of those yards were passing, 277 yards a game, and almost 2,200 rushing yards, which is 169 yards per game. Those are very impressive stats from an impressive group of players. They seem to really reveal each other's success and look very team driven. Can we take a look at kind of what you're thankful for when you look at the offense and how they played for you all year long?
Yeah, well, I think the thing that's been really a fabric of the offense, we're just speaking offensively, really since I got here 4 years ago, it happened quickly with that first group of guys, is how adaptable and how flexible the guys are. So I'm thankful for that, because we do a lot of things formationally, play call wise, add a wrinkle here, add a motion there, call a play that's not even on the script that we didn't practice during the week, and the guys just adapt and go. So certainly thankful for their ability to adapt and flexibility. And then you mentioned I think it's our guys mental approach, and you talked about being unselfish. We got a lot of unselfish guys, and we've also become very balanced. This is probably the most balanced year we've had since I've been here in terms of runs to passes. It's as close to 50-50 as it's ever been, and that's a credit to the guys up front, and then obviously all our guys, playmakers, both run and pass.
Yes, sir. And moving to the defense, it's Thanksgiving. We're in the Thanksgiving spirit. They've really improved this season a lot. Having some rough games to start, and then they've really shown themselves this playoffs in the second half of the season. Can you say a couple things that you're thankful for when you look at the defense?
Yeah, well, I think the defense is you got to be thankful for their resiliency. Because I think, like you said, again, they've had tough tasks this year. You look at our opponents offensively and the challenges that they bring to the table from Jackson's offense, which we're about to get a taste of again. But thinking about Mobile Christian's quarterback and running back duo, you think back to Pensacola running the Veer with their quarterback running back duo. You go to Pleasant Grove and that quarterback and those wide outs, and then even Fairfield last week and that quarterback and running back duo. So, and then Hanley and the challenges they presented with that quarterback and running back. And so it's they've had their hands full every week, and I think it's the resiliency to keep getting up. It's that Nunchepi mentality of we're just going to keep coming every play and keep getting better. And like you said, they have. I feel like since the Jackson game, which we all can own that was the worst game we've had defensively that any of us can remember. Mm-hmm. That we owned it, right? We picked ourselves up off the mat, and we've won. Now since then, whatever that's been, 7 in a row.
Yes, sir.
And the defense has been a big part of those wins in those 7 games.
Yes, sir. Now looking back at Fairfield last Friday, Rocco Faiupu was the player of the game. He had 8 tackles on defense and kept a constant pressure on the Tigers' backfield. With his usual dominant performance on the offensive line. He's a senior and arrived on campus at the same time as you did. Can you give us another? What are we thankful for? Kind of looking at his career and the young man he made himself.
Yeah, well, I think it started with us obviously getting Rocco as a ninth grader, but it started for me with the Fairhopes with Moy, and obviously got Amo a part of the team too as a young freshman. But it started for me with Moy and just the type of the character that the Fairhopes carry with them. They're hardworking, they're tough, they're going to do anything you ask them to do. They'll carry the water in, and they're also going to play the most plays on the game on Friday night. So they're just that type of guys that you want to be part of your program, both the young men and the families itself. So Rocco always itches to play more and more defense. He's getting that opportunity now the last 5 or 6 games. I really feel like we handled that well with him and Skipper and Maddox and Brody and Noah, where we didn't overdo it early in the year, and you risk injury, you risk them running out of gas. And we've now gotten to the point to where it's one game at a time. We've taken the shoulder pads off the guys during the week to allow those guys to play 100+ plays. And when you have this opportunity, you want to put the guys out there that give you the best chance.
Yes, sir. And taking a look at our third playoff win this season last week at Fairfield, Gunner was 12 of 20 for 250 yards and a touchdown. We also had 10 first downs, and we also had 6 plays for 20 yards with a long of 78 yards. He played another great game by taking advantage of everything Fairfield gave him and protecting the ball. Noah Moss had another big game too out of the backfield, 167 rushing yards with 5 touchdowns and an average of 6 yards per carry. Tucker also had 70 yards receiving, including a nice catch for 42 yards that set up our offense for a score. We had also had Brody Jones get 7 catches for 158 yards and a touchdown, including a huge 78-yard play and, a crazy 22.5 yards per catch. And, Cooper Kurth hauled in a timely first down, which was huge. And then Birdie Sella was going all out. We were thankful for our offense, out of the Fairfield game last week. What are we thankful for?
Well, I think you mentioned it. I think you mentioned when I think of Tucker's 2 big catches, both of those led to touchdowns. Almost immediately after we scored a touchdown. So those are 2 huge plays in the game. So that's where you look at 2 catches for 70. What impact did he have? Huge impact because of the plays that followed right there. You mentioned Noah's 5 touchdowns. Obviously, Gunner took care of the ball. We had a rough couple series right there, but again, I think the biggest thing he's done this year, and he did it all last year, is the number of attempts we have and the number of times we turn it over is unbelievable. And so that's huge. That's huge. And then we just hung with it, right? When we had a little bumpy stretch, we just kind of hung with it. We get Brody on a play. You love it when you feel like you see something on tape, you call it, and it happens just like you saw on the tape. And that was what Brody's long touchdown was, which was really kind of the finisher for us offensively to get it to 2 scores. But all the guys played well. And again, it's also when you're going to hit some rough stretches in games. And I think that's the thing that our guys handled both sides of the ball in this Fairfield game is, man, we had a bad second quarter.
Yes, sir.
And we went at halftime and took a deep breath, and then we shut them out in the second half, and then we got 3 touchdowns in the second half and finished the game. And I think that goes back to talking about our schedule again. We've had so much adversity through this year in games, in different game situations, and we've had to overcome those. And again, I think that's paid off for us in this playoff run, and hopefully it'll pay off for us again on Friday night.
Yes, sir. And then kind of looking to the defense, what are we thankful for from our defense at Fairfield?
Well, I think it goes back to the resiliency because we had a rough stretch. We busted a couple assignments, and all of a sudden they're up 25-21 and get the ball to start the second half, which was a little scary, to be honest with you. If they go up 2 scores, 32-21, we're in deep trouble. And so they drove down, got to like the 25-yard line in that first drive, but our D stepped up big and then continued to step up big the rest of the game. And so again, I think it's just the multitude of guys stepping up and making plays, and that's the biggest thing. Is some guys had good games and key efforts, but it's the all 11. You see, there's so many contributors to each and every play, one play at a time, and they did a heck of a job in the second half.
Yes, sir. It's fun to look at the season and reflect a little, during this holiday break, but we're preparing for the semifinal round of the playoffs. Just 4 teams standing in 4A. We win this week. We go to Birmingham. We lose. We stay home. Jackson is the only team this year on our schedule to beat us. You're 29-1, 7-on-7 team, only lost once, and only to Jackson as well. We beat them in West Florida 7-on-7. Our varsity squad has had an amazing 12-1 record with only 1 loss against Jackson, as I said earlier, in week 6. What does that mean, if anything, to your preparation for the game, being so familiar with the opponent? Yeah,
well, it's funny because we sat in here after the Jackson game on Monday, and we said, hey, guys, that's the best football team that we're going to play this year, unless we play them again in the semifinals, and here we are. It happened. It just so happened 8 weeks later, here we are playing these guys again. So it's been a heck of a season. I think the biggest thing we've tried to do this week is not shy away or try to trick ourselves into thinking that, Jackson really isn't this good and this guy isn't that good. And it's like, no. Let's give them the credit they deserve. They're a awesome football team, not just a 4A football team. They're one of the best teams in the state, and we're dang good. And we get a chance to play them. Anything can happen on Friday night. I say if they did everything on paper, we wouldn't be in the semifinals. We wouldn't be in the semifinals because on paper and based on program history and based on lots of things, Pleasant Grove would have won on paper. So Hanley may have won just based on last year's game against us. So that's why you got to go out and play the game.
Yes, sir.
And our guys have proven that on any given Friday night we can get it done, and we get one more shot to try to get that done to go to the state championship.
Coach, with Jackson's wins this year, they've mostly been blowouts. They have some great skill players: quarterback Landon Duckworth, running back EJ Crowell, and then wide receiver Keon Chapman. What are the points of emphasis this week for the defense?
Yeah, I think it's the same. It's the same as it's been for us for 4 years. It'll always be the same. We got to try to take the ball away. We're +8 in the turnover differential in the playoffs, which has been big. And then we have to stop the run, and then we have to eliminate big plays. And that's easier said than done. But we got to be able to corral Crowell, and then we got to be able to eliminate big plays. The first game against them, it was 59, 70, 60, 58. It was just big play after big play. And that'll give us a chance defensively and offensively. We got to continue to protect the ball. We had 3 turnovers in that game. And I know that all the turnovers have a story and they're situational, right? A couple of them were, a little bit desperate on 4th down. But we had 3 turnovers, and we had 6 on the season. So we got to protect the football, and then we have to run the ball. I feel like we ran the ball well in that game in the first half, but then when the score got away from us, we couldn't really hang with the run. And then we got to throw completions, and Gunner's done a good job of that all year. The guys have done a good job separating and getting open. We got to throw completions, and then ultimately we got to get the ball in the end zone. Because people ask me, are you going to try to play keep away? Well, keep away sounds great if we're scoring touchdowns. Yes. It doesn't do you any good if you end up with 10 points at the end of the game. So we got our hands full. It's an unbelievable challenge. You mentioned they haven't had many close games. I'm not here to suggest they won't be able to handle it if it's a close game, because they certainly are capable, and I know they're well coached and tough guys. But us being in close games, if we can get it to the 4th quarter and it being a close game, we certainly have a lot more experience in that than they do.
The playoffs are all about playing hot and keeping hot. We've won 7 straight games. How difficult or easy is it to, keep the momentum in the team in a sport like football and keep the players hungry and playing on that edge?
Yeah, I really do think our guys, we haven't even had to even talk about it. I think our guys, I do think that Nuke Cheppy, again, is a fabric of who our team is. And each week we're trying to be 1-0. We're able to celebrate and enjoy the previous game, but then we move on in a hurry. I've not one time during this 7-game stretch felt that the previous game lingered and we relaxed the following week. I just haven't, and that's a credit to the guys, taking the right approach and being professional about it each and every week as far as approaching the next opponent with a clean slate and not letting we're rolling, we'll never get stopped. We haven't had that creep in, and I think that's again attributed to why we've won 12 games.
Yes, sir. Jackson is the number 1 team in the state. I believe the number 12, or the number 1 team in 4A, the number 12 team in the state. They come into this game 22-point favorites. We're the underdogs. Coach, what has been the biggest upset game you remember playing?
Yeah, I think the only one, the one that comes to mind for me is my sophomore year at NC State. We went to Florida State, and Florida State had not lost a home ACC game ever. I think they started in 91, so this was 2001, and they had not lost a home ACC. So I may be off on the 1991, but somewhere in there, it had been a 10-year plus stretch. They had not lost a home conference game. And the previous year, they'd beaten us, I think, 58-14 or something like that. And we went to Florida State and beat them in Doak Campbell Stadium in what was a huge upset. Nobody really gave us a chance. And again, one play at a time, and all of a sudden you looked up and we hit a pass late to take the lead and hang on to win. So it's why you kick it off. We all can go back through the history of all levels of sports, not just football, and you see some of the crazy upsets. They happen. I mean, that's why they play the game. And I don't think it's as far-fetched to think we can win the game. I don't think our guys think that, but I think our guys also acknowledge that it is a heck of a challenge, and that this is a really good football team. We can't just play mediocre and win the game. I think we do know that. We're going to have to play our best game of the year, and maybe Jackson's due to make a few mistakes,
yes, sir.
and then we can see what happens.
Jackson was ranked number 1 all season long, and deservedly so. And that means they will be favored this week. A few people outside the St. Michael community not giving us much of a chance to win. With that being said, I know the players are confident, the coaches are confident, and the Wildcard Network is confident as well. The team came into Pleasant Grove with a business-like attitude, and then matched last week against Fairfield. Could you give us an overall feel in practice this week as the team prepares for this opportunity?
Yeah, I think the one thing is with knowing an opponent, which we know these guys, and playing them this year. So it's not just, of course, we're familiar, right? Well, just like we're familiar with Orange Beach and Mobile Christian and Satsuma and Bayside, teams you play every year, you're familiar. But we're familiar with Jackson, and we've played them this year. So I think our guys, it gives you a little more understanding. So when you say, hey, we got to set the edge, or don't let him get outside of you, or he'll run by you, or hey, we're going to have to be real good with our route discipline. It's not just a thought, it's we've lived it. The guys have lived it. So I think, again, I think there's a humble confidence there. I don't think again, by no means do we sit here then, oh, we're going to Jackson. Oh, we'll for sure beat them. We don't think that. We understand, and nobody should pick us to win the game.
Yeah.
On the outside, it wouldn't make sense for you to. But then you got to play the game, and so we'll be there to play it and see what happens and be able to hold our heads high either way. I'm by no means conceding that we're not going to get it done, but if we don't get it done, we'll be upset, and there'll be tears in the locker room and all deal, because our season will have come to an end. But it'll be nothing to look back and be ashamed of for this run we've had. But if we find a way to win it, it'll be a celebration unlike one I think you can imagine. Right, unscripted. That thrill of spontaneity when you win is there's nothing like it. So why not us, Mitchell?
Absolutely, why not us? Well, thank you for joining me, Coach. Again, this is me, Mitchell Swanson, Coach Rivers from Rusty Coles Fieldhouse. Again, please listen live to the Jackson game this Friday on the Wild Cardinal Network. Coach, good luck and safe play this week. St. Michael, defend us.